Hey, what's up, y'all? Um, this is probably going to be a little bit more uh, difficult to do than a typical inside ties, and a lot of my inside ties are kind of heavy, but this one in particular. Shout out Freshly Faded, the barbershop in San Diego. My old point guard actually owns Freshly Faded. He made this shirt partially because he's extremely astute, very smart. Derek Banks, freshlyfaded.com. When I was coaching high school basketball, I would make my players do 10 push-ups every time they said the N-word. Now, when they were away from me, they would say it probably all day, and I know some of them say it now, but the point back then was to instill in them a sense that they are neither. They are black men who should be proud of who they are, and they should hold themselves in a way where they don't have to worry about fearing for their lives. And this is the challenge with that thought process. I thought that by removing the word from my lexicon, that it would make people look at me differently. I was young when I was a coach. You know, it was almost 20 years ago when I was coaching. I was young, man. I was a very young coach. And I did things a certain way. Now, I'm not saying that now I'm an advocate for the N-word. I'm not. But, funny story, one of my players was at a mall, and I heard him saying it, and I made him do push-ups at the mall. And he always kind of reaches back to me, and he's like, I remember that, and you know what, I appreciate it. I do use the word, but I realize when I'm using it that it really isn't the best word choice. Now, what does that have to do with what you're seeing over here to my side? Yesterday, matter of fact, I got my mouse in my hand. I know you guys probably like, what in the world is Chris doing? Let me see if I can get over here to this page. Yesterday, Drew Greer, OG, used to be at Nike. The dude has done so much in the industry. If you don't know who he is, go follow him on LinkedIn. Drew was like, yo, Chris, you need to share this with your audience. And I was like, oh, okay, what is it? And then when I went and looked at what it was, I was just like, man, that's what I'm talking about. ANTA. Sneaker culture knows what ANTA is. We know what it is. Most people don't know who ANTA is. They don't know that ANTA is an extremely big brand in China. They don't know basketball is really, really big in China. So the market over there and the business, they're looking to expand into the United States, but it has to be a slow process because sneaker culture does not readily accept anything out of the mainstream. Now, what did ANTA do that was so amazing? They created an unintentional challenge. And it's one of the most important things that I think that's been done for our industry. Now, and I say this with, I'm trying to say this the right way and make sure I phrase it the right way. I love what ANTA did here, and I love that they created what is should be considered. I'm challenging every brand, Nike, Adidas, show your designers, show us who's making this stuff, show us the people behind the scenes. And I'm challenging you guys who are in sneaker culture to ask the brands to become a lot more transparent, man. Because we're supporting brands and we're giving them our money. And often they don't represent our values. But there's a paradox there because we have to work within these brands to change things. Now, what ANTA did with that picture is they answered a call for something that I wrote almost 4 years ago. When Nike, this is an interesting thing. If you look at Nike and you ask people who the designers are of particular shoes, almost every sneaker culture person can tell you who it is. But there's an interesting thing that has happened in the sneaker community. Basketball shoes are not worn as much as they used to be, and that's because there's so many options available now. So what has happened is the professionalization of basketball has taken away from the design process and the sale of basketball shoes. But what took the place of it is sneaker culture is getting a bit smarter, and we want to know how it was made, why it was made, who designed it. And in that is an opportunity, because if you can connect to the consumer and tell us who these people are behind the product, we will, or we should, support that brand. The reality is we don't. But back to ANTA, and what they basically did is create a challenge. It was not an intentional thing by them. I don't think it was. And what they did, though, is they created a challenge and filling pieces, put up a picture of their designers. And I'm sitting up here like, man, that is real change. And I know it's not something that's so tangible and easy to see, but that's real change. When you begin to see brands step up to the plate and show us who's behind the products that we love, things start changing for the better. We start getting more people of color in positions of power and influence. Now, this is the problem with everything, though. As powerful as what ANTA just did, the reality is nothing changes unless the consumer changes. I've done videos on conscientious consumerism. The sneaker videos on this site get more views than anything. I don't have a lot of subscribers. I'm not as big as Hypebeast and Complex and all these people. But let's be real. If you take 1 second, Hypebeast is a little bit more diverse. If you go to a Complex-based website, or if you go to Nice Kicks or Sneaker Bar Detroit, all of these big websites, and you go to the homepages look primarily the same, because Nike puts out so much product, and these companies know that Nike drives engagement, so these companies share Nike's product consistently. That doesn't mean that Nike's doing the right thing. That simply means that Nike's doing so much that these companies can't deviate, because they have people to pay. I can't expect those websites to start sharing everything. So as I sit here on Juneteenth with my red, black, and green socks and my shirt from Freshly Faded Barbershop, and I'm making this video in my 99 Product shoes, black-owned company, as I sit here and I know that I try to create a different website, I do realize that trying to call out those websites is a bit problematic, because they have these huge staffs that they have to employ and people have to get paid. That does not take away from you, the consumer. It doesn't take away from you. If you want Nike to change and start hiring people at the top, the consumer has to be aware and ask for transparency. ANTA didn't have to do this. They didn't have to do that. They didn't have to put that picture up. ANTA made a conscious decision to share with you who was behind the product. This was not on Juneteenth. This was a brand saying, hey, we're doing the work, man. You guys don't write about us. Y'all don't even care about us. That's not on the brand. That's on the consumer, man. That's on sneaker culture. That's on you guys. You go and look at DJ Card Ken. I don't know what's in his closet. But I would have to assume there's no ANTA. I would have to assume there's no Phil and Pieces. He's a Nike guy. You know, you look at all of these people who collect, and they don't have these products in their closet. I made my own shoe for years, and I never got one article on a website. 2004, I was probably the only black dude in this country making his own basketball shoe. You guys have never heard of me. And that's a problem. I get that the brands have to step up and everybody has to step up. But real change happens in the grassroots. It happens in the mud. You consumers, you control everything. You have to be more conscientious. And it breaks my heart when I see kids walk into a store and I'm standing in the store and they're like, no, I gotta have them J's. And I'm like, why do you have to have them? You didn't even see Michael Jordan play, kid. And I know his legacy is huge. I said, but you know what? This shoe over here is just as good. It's the same thing. Give that a try. People online buying products, give these other brands a try. But don't do so just because. Ask for transparency. Ask for it. You need it. We got a lot that needs to be done.